Hello, and thank you for purchasing a Peterson product. This video will show you how to get the most out of your Peterson tuner by using the Peterson Connect website to customize your tuner to your tuning needs. As of 2013, both the Peterson Stomp Classic and the all-new Strobo Plus HD can be configured via the Peterson Connect website. I'll be using the Strobo Plus HD for this demonstration. The first part of this video will cover basic programming of your device. You'll learn how to add tunings and presets to your tuner, purchase any available add-ons for your device like the Strobo Plus Metronome, and configure some basic power settings. After you've built a simple configuration and downloaded it to your tuner, you'll learn the basics of designing your own custom tunings and saving them to your device. You can even share those tunings with other Peterson Connect users. The final segment of this video will cover some more advanced options for designing custom tunings, such as custom note names, transposing your tuning, and multiple tuning offsets per note. At the very end, I'll demonstrate how to reset your tuner back to the factory default configuration. Before we begin, you'll need to have registered your Peterson product with the Peterson Connect website. This video assumes that you've completed that process and that the Peterson Connect desktop application has already been installed on your computer. If you haven't done this yet, step-by-step instructions on how to register are outlined in another video that you can link to here. Come back to view this video once you've registered. It's important to note that you do not need to configure your device for it to work right out of the box. The Strobo Plus HD, for example, contains over 90 tunings for most common instruments and can be used without ever needing to use this website. However, if you'd like to narrow down that list of tunings or easily set up tunings and presets in a very visual way, you'll want to continue watching. Start by opening your preferred browser and navigating to the URL www.petersontuners.com/connect. The Peterson Connect website can be used in any browser, but for this demonstration I'll be using Google Chrome. The very bottom of the website shows links to the recommended browsers in which this user interface looks and functions at its best. If you're not already logged in, you'll need to do that now. Use the same email address and password that you used during registration. Once logged in, click on Configure. You'll see a list on the upper left of the screen of all your registered Peterson devices, the first of which should be selected. If you don't see any of your products in this list, you have either not yet registered them, or you are logged in with the wrong email address and password. To the right, you'll see some basic info about your product: serial number, the date and time of the last connection, current firmware version, and current configuration version. Below that are three tabs: Tunings and Presets, Purchase or Configure Add-Ons, and Power Management. If there are no available add-ons for your Peterson model, this tab will be grayed out. The Power Management tab will only be active if your device allows for backlight and power settings. If you've never used the Peterson Connect website to configure this product, you will only see one tuning and one preset. Now, as you know, your product comes with as many as 90 factory sweetened tunings. Those tunings will always remain in your tuner's internal memory regardless of what you do here. So, each custom configuration starts with a clean slate of tunings and presets to build upon. This way you can add what you like instead of needing to remove everything that you don't typically use. You'll notice EQU, equal, is in both the tunings list and the presets list. The basic rule is that there needs to be at least one item in each of these two lists. The tuning list determines what tunings are available to choose from in your tuner's immediate memory. The preset list uses a tuning from the tuning list and adds on additional settings like drop capo transposition, your concert A reference, or a global cent offset. So, in order to build a preset based on a tuning, that tuning will first need to exist in the tuning list. You might want to have 13 tunings available on your tuner, but you may only make 2 or 3 presets, or none at all. All of the proprietary factory tunings or sweeteners offered by Peterson are located on the bottom half of this screen. Some of these have come with your tuner, while some might be new to you. As a Peterson Connect user, you'll be able to use any sweetener we add to our library, now and in the future. Click on a few tunings and notice the fader display update to show all of the notes contained within that tuning under the Notes and Offsets tab. You'll see a relative direction of sharp or flat for each note, but the exact offsets for these notes are not shown, as all Peterson sweeteners are proprietary and can only be used by Peterson customers like yourself. Clicking on the Description tab will show a little more information about the selected tuning and its use. We'll cover display preferences later in the video. Clicking on the Search Tunings box will bring up a list of common searches, or you can type in the name of a particular sweetener or the name of an instrument to search all tunings applicable to that instrument. Go ahead and choose Steel to narrow down our tuning list to tunings for steel guitar. Click on the X to clear your search, and once again you'll see all available tunings. You'll notice an icon next to a few tunings here in my list indicating that they are custom tunings. We'll go over designing your own tunings later in this video. To add a tuning to your tuner, simply drag the tuning from your tuning library to the top of the page and drop it in your tuner's tunings list. Click and hold the tuning and move the mouse to the tunings box. Let go of the mouse button to drop the tuning. You can add as many tunings as you'd like here. The only rules are that you cannot add a tuning twice, and that you cannot exceed your tuner's memory. In both cases, the tunings list will dim to gray, and you will no longer be able to drop tunings into it. In the case of a memory limitation, you'll notice the memory meter on the right of the screen at red level, and you'll be notified that the memory is full. This is not common and only happens when adding many tunings that contain many offsets. For example, there are a few tunings for piano that can contain over 80 offsets per tuning. These use up a lot of memory and can quickly max out your tuner's memory. For this tutorial, let's add 3 tunings. How about GTR, Peterson's 6-string guitar sweetener, SE9, Peterson's pedal steel sweetener for 10-string pedal steel in E9 tuning, and BJO, Peterson's sweetened tuning for the 5-string banjo in G. Drag these tunings to your tuning list one by one and drop them in the order you'd like them to appear on your tuner. You can reorder them once they've been added as well. Now that we've added 3 tunings, let's get rid of EQU, equal temperament, which is the straight-up chromatic tuning with no offsets. To remove a tuning, I just click on the trash can. In this case, the application informs me that I cannot delete this tuning because it is being used by the only existing preset. Since I need to have at least one preset, I can't remove this tuning just yet. So let's make another preset. To add a preset, simply drag the tuning from the tunings list into the presets list in the order in which you want the preset to appear on your tuner. For this tutorial, let's drag the banjo or BJO sweetener to the preset list. As soon as we drop the tuning, a menu opens, allowing us to adjust the various parameters of that preset. The Strobel Plus HD allows concert A from 390 to 490 Hz, note name transposition from -6 to +5, and a global scent offset from -50 to +50. You can use either the graphic faders, the up and down arrows, or your keyboard to adjust the values within their respective ranges. As you adjust a parameter farther away from its default value, more color appears within the fader track in the direction of movement, giving you a quick way to know that these settings are no longer standard. Consult your tuner's manual for the specifics on what these additional settings do. Let's return all of these settings for our BJO preset to default by double-clicking on the fader handle. You can close the menu by clicking anywhere outside of the menu window. Now we should have 2 presets defined, one for EQU and one for BJO. Now we should be able to delete EQU from our tunings list. Click on the trash can for the EQU tuning in your tunings list. The application notifies us that it will also need to remove all presets that contain EQU. Go ahead and click Remove Tuning. Both the EQU tuning and the EQU preset will be removed from our tuner's configuration. Now, while we can only have the BJO tuning in our tunings list once, we can have more than one preset based on any one tuning. So we could have 2 presets that use BJO, one with A equals 440 and one with A equals 442. The rules for creating presets are: we cannot have duplicate presets, that is, presets with the same tuning and all of the same parameters. And we cannot have more than 10 presets. Or in rare cases, we may not have enough available memory to add more presets. Drag the BJO tuning to the presets list once again. When the menu opens to adjust the preset parameters, click outside the menu to close it. The application will prevent us from creating this duplicate preset. It will tell us to either adjust the parameters to be different than that of the existing conflicting preset, or to remove the preset altogether. When this notice pops up, choose Edit and slide the Concert A settings to A442. Closing the menu should now allow us to continue, as the preset is now different than the existing preset. You now have two presets, both with the BJO tuning, but different in Concert A setting. For the purpose of this tutorial, let's delete the original preset, the one with Concert A set to 440. Click on the trash can within the preset bar. You should now have one preset that contains BJO and has a Concert A setting of 442. Now, drag the SE9 tuning from the tunings list to the presets list to create a preset based on the SE9 tuning. Adjust the cent offset to plus 1.8. Let's break here and save this configuration. You may have noticed while we were making changes that a notification appeared in red, telling us that you've made changes since the last save. Press the Save My Configuration button to store your device settings. The notification should disappear. Before we move on to the other device configuration options, let's transfer these settings to our tuner. If the Peterson Connect desktop application is not already running, find the Peterson Connect logo on your computer and launch the application now. If you've not yet plugged in your tuner using the provided USB cable, do that now as well. If you've launched the Peterson Connect desktop application in the past, you may have chosen to remember your login details. If not, click the login button and enter your email address as your user ID and then your password. Note that you must use the same email and password you registered with, which is the same email and password you recently used to log into the Peterson Connect website. When your computer recognizes your device, a small icon of your product should appear and the application will immediately connect to our servers to obtain new information. The desktop application may find newer firmware, a newer configuration, or an unlockable item that you've recently purchased, which we'll cover later in this video. If the desktop application has connected successfully, you should see a notice in the Updates box that a newer configuration for your device is available. This is the configuration that you've just recently saved from following this tutorial. Click the box next to this update and click the Apply Selected Updates button. After a few moments, this item will fade out, indicating that the update is complete. If your desktop application was running before your most recent save, you may have to press the Refresh button in order for the new update to appear. The Refresh button is the glowing orange button in the Peterson Connect logo located here. After the configuration update is complete, you can view your changes on your tuner. Scroll to your sweeteners by turning the encoder knob until sweetener flashes. Press in on the encoder knob, then turn the wheel to scroll through our list of sweeteners, which at this point should only contain 3: GTR, SE9, and BJO. Press the Preset button and use the encoder knob to scroll through your available presets, which should now have 2. Click down on the knob to select that preset. We should have BJO with A442 as preset 1 and SE9 with positive 1.8 cents as preset 2. The sweetener list and preset list may be accessed differently on other Peterson product models. This concludes the section on tuning and preset configuration. Next, we'll cover purchasing and configuring add-ons and device power management. If purchasable add-ons are available for your Peterson product, the Purchase or Configure Add-ons tab will be active and selectable. Click on this tab to see what items may be available for you to add on to your Peterson product. Available add-ons are unique to specific products, and more may become available over time. Currently, the Strobo Plus HD offers a Metronome add-on available via the Peterson online store. You'll see the Metronome add-on listed here, along with a switch to unlock the feature and a button to purchase the feature. To upgrade your Strobo Plus HD to include the Peterson Body Beat Metronome, click the Buy Now button. You will be redirected to the Peterson online store in a new window and automatically logged in. This item will be added to your cart and you will be prompted for payment information. Once you've completed your order, return to the browser window in which the Peterson Connect website is running. You should now be able to slide the switch from the locked to the unlocked position by clicking and holding the slider handle with your mouse and dragging it to the right. The Peterson Connect website will only allow the feature to be unlocked after it verifies that it has been purchased. Once you've successfully unlocked the feature, you will be prompted to launch or refresh the Peterson Connect desktop application in order for your hardware to receive the new feature. Once again, if the Peterson Connect desktop application is not already running, find the Peterson Connect logo on your computer and launch the application now. If you've not yet plugged in your tuner using the provided USB cable, do that now as well. If you have not entered your login details, click the Login button and enter your email address as your user ID and then your password. the same email and password you recently used to log into the Peterson Connect website. When your computer recognizes your device, a small icon of your product should appear, and the application will immediately connect to our servers to obtain the new information. If the desktop application has connected successfully, you should see a notice in the Updates box that a new feature has been unlocked. Click the box next to this unlocking code and click the Apply Selected Updates button. After a few moments, this item will fade out, indicating that the update is complete. If your desktop application was running before you unlocked this feature, you may have to press the refresh button in order for the new update to appear. Once again, the refresh button is the glowing orange button in the Peterson Connect logo located here. For the purposes of this tutorial, do not close the desktop application. We'll want to keep that running for the remainder of this video. In the case of the Strobo Plus Metronome upgrade, you can now access the new feature by pressing the Mode button on your Strobo Plus until the Metronome screen appears. Please consult the Strobo Plus Metronome manual on our website for detailed instructions on how to use this new feature. Just as you've unlocked this feature, the Peterson Connect website will allow you to lock or disable this feature. This may be useful if you have more than one of this Peterson model, both registered under your email, and you'd like to remove the upgrade from one of your units and apply it to the other. Before unlocking a second unit, you will need to lock or disable the feature on the first unit and connect the device using the Peterson Connect desktop application. Once the server confirms that you've removed the feature from the first unit, you are free to apply that feature to a second unit. Because your desktop application is still running and your product is still connected via USB, you'll notice that the product icon in your device list now says Connected. If you were to have more than one Peterson product, this would be an easy way to know which of your products is currently connected and being configured. For some products, like the Strobo Plus HD, the Peterson Connect website allows you to configure the backlight brightness and auto power off settings. Click on the Power Management tab if active. Here you'll see two categories of power settings, battery power and USB power. 2 stages of backlight brightness and the number of minutes for auto power off can be configured in each of these categories. Your tuner is considered active when the tuner detects a signal loud enough to tune. 2 seconds after the last tunable signal, the tuner becomes inactive. You can set the backlight brightness to one of 15 levels of brightness in both active and inactive modes. The auto power off setting can be adjusted in 1-minute increments from never, or 0, up to 4 hours. Click and drag the fader handle to the right or left to adjust any of these 6 settings. In the 4 backlight brightness controls, the fader track will reveal more color as you drag the slider to the right, increasing the amount of backlight brightness in that mode. It's important to note that the power settings are coupled with the tuning and preset settings, meaning that you cannot configure your tuner's power settings without also configuring the tuning and preset settings. If you'd like to change these power settings from their default values, go ahead and do that now. Then press the Save My Configuration button. If your product is connected and the Peterson desktop application is running, the website will remind you to refresh the Peterson Connect desktop application to receive the new configuration. This concludes the add-ons and power management section. Next, you'll learn the basics of how to design your own custom tunings. As a Peterson customer that has registered with the Peterson Connect website, you now have access to a library of all of the sweetened tunings ever developed for or included in a Peterson product. This library may grow as Peterson releases additional Peterson Connect products and develops new sweetened tunings. You'll be notified via email or when you log in if additional sweetened tunings have become available. You also have the ability to create and share your own custom tunings. These tunings are only visible within your account, unless you choose to share one with a friend. We'll start with the basics. If you're looking for more advanced custom tuning techniques, we'll cover those later in the video. Let's start by clicking on the New Tuning button at the very bottom of the screen. A menu window will open, prompting you to enter a 3-character name and a brief description. The tuning name must be 3 characters long and can only contain letters and numbers. For the purposes of this tutorial, let's name our tuning ZZZ. In the description box, enter Tutorial for now. We can also choose a starting template for this tuning, which will provide us with a general layout of our instrument. Currently, there are only a few templates available, but this list will grow as Peterson continues to expand the capabilities of the Peterson Connect website. If you choose no template, You will start with a blank canvas without any notes. Click on the template box and choose Chromatic Scale. Then click Add Tuning. Your new custom tuning will be added to the tuning library on the left with a custom user icon so that you know this tuning is not a factory or default tuning. Because you chose to start with a template, a series of notes have been added to your Notes and Offsets tab. Rolling over the fader handle with your mouse opens a window to show the specified offset for that note. Currently, all of the notes shown here are set to a 0-cent offset, which means that we haven't applied any sweetening to these notes. If we were to use this tuning as is, it would be no different than tuning in normal chromatic tuning mode. Sweetened tunings contain slight offsets for each specified note in order to adjust for the intricacies of a specific instrument. You can adjust the offset for each note by dragging the slider handle up or down, using the arrows, or typing the offsets directly into the box. You can adjust each note from -50 cents to +50 cents in 0.1 cent increments. You may have to use the up and down arrows to fine-tune the settings. Changing the offset for a note essentially changes the point in which your tuner will give you an in-tune reading for that note. If you'd like, pause this video and use the sliders to set some of your offsets for your ZZZ tuning now. You'll notice that the notes in your tuning appear alone without any octave number. However, your Peterson tuner is capable of detecting and applying tuning offsets to specific notes in specific octaves. As a rule of thumb, any note name that appears alone without an octave number beside it will apply to all notes of that name in all octaves of our tuning spectrum. For example, this prevents the need for the user to add an additional note entry with the same offset for every E in every octave. However, if you were to now add another offset for the note E in the 4th octave, that offset would then take over for all E's that occur above E4. So you would have one offset for E0, E1, E2, and E3, and then a different offset for E4 through E8. Let's add another offset to this tuning. Click on the New Offset button located at the bottom left of your Notes and Offsets tab. Another menu will open containing note selection and octave selection. For this tutorial, click on the E in the Note Selection menu and set the octave to 4 by using the arrows next to the octave selection box. Then, click on the Add button on the bottom right of that window to add the new E4 offset to your tuning. You can now use the fader for the E4 entry to adjust the offset for E4. Removing any offset is as easy as clicking on the trash can directly above the offset. Note that in this mode you cannot add a specific note twice. We'll discuss these advanced techniques later in the video. We'll skip discussing the key setting for now and talk about the sharps and flats setting. This toggle control allows you to specify whether you'd like all the note names in your tuning with accidentals to appear with a sharp symbol, or if you'd like a common mixture of sharps and flats. Click these buttons to toggle between the two options and see how the note names in your tuning change. This setting affects how these particular notes will appear on your tuner's display. Now, click on the Descriptions tab. Here you can change the name of your tuning or add a more detailed description of what it is and where it may be used within the 244 character limit. You may change the name of your tuning at any time as long as the same name does not already exist in your tuning library. Congratulations, you've created your first tuning. Press the Save Tunings button on the lower right of the screen to save your tuning to your account. From here, you can drag this tuning from your tuning library to your tuner's tuning list and then create a preset from that tuning. For a detailed explanation of how to add a tuning to your tuner, create a preset, and download the settings to your tuner, watch the beginning of this video again. This tuning will now appear in your tuning library every time you log into the Peterson Connect website. However, you're the only one who can see it and use it. If you know of another Peterson Connect user who might want to use this tuning for their tuner, click the Share Tuning button and type in their email address. They will be notified by email that you sent them a new tuning, and the next time they log in, they will be able to accept your tuning and import it into their tuning library. This will make a new copy of the tuning so that they can make changes without affecting your original tuning. This concludes the basic tuning design section. Keep watching if you're interested in the more advanced techniques of tuning design. Now we'll cover some of the more advanced options for designing and configuring tuners in the Peterson Connect website. If you have not yet watched the last section on creating a basic custom tuning, you may want to do that before continuing. At this point, you should have created a sample custom tuning named ZZZ. Click on the ZZZ tuning in your tuning library. Click on the trash can above each offset and remove all offsets except the E4 offset. Now, click on the New Offset button and add an A in the 4th octave. Again, click on the New Offset button and add an F sharp in the 4th octave. Now you should have 3 offsets in your tuning: E4, F sharp 4, and A4. Adjust the faders for each of these 3 offsets so that they have values other than 0. If you were to download this tuning to your tuner now, you would be able to tune any chromatic note in your instrument range. But if you specifically played an E4, an F sharp 4, or an A4, your tuner would use the offsets specified for each of those 3 notes as the new target. However, what if your instrument only ever used those 3 notes, and there was no need for you to see all of the other chromatic notes in between? Click on the Display Preferences tab and find the toggle control titled Tuner Responds To. This changes your tuner from a chromatic tuner to a tuner that only responds to the notes that exist in your tuning. Clicking on Only Notes Specified tells your tuner that only these 3 pitches exist, and every other note you play is either sharp or flat of one of these 3 pitches. So your tuner will never show G when you play G, because it does not know that G exists. It only knows that you are very sharp of F sharp and somewhere flat of A. Click on Only Notes Specified and leave this mode activated for now. Note that this setting only applies to the selected tuning. It is not a global setting for your tuner, as it only functions when this tuning is active. Above this control is another fader control titled Strobe Speed or Sensitivity. This fader allows you to adjust the speed at which your strobe display turns compared to how far out of tune you are. You can click and drag the fader handle to adjust your display speed from extremely slow to extremely fast. Double-clicking the fader handle will reset the strobe speed to default or normal. You can also think of this control as adjusting the sensitivity of your tuning display. This does not, however, change the accuracy of your tuner, which will always be accurate to 0.1 cents or 1/1000th of a semitone. No matter how quickly or slowly the display is turning, it will only stop completely when you are perfectly in tune. Again, note that this setting only applies to the selected tuning. It's not a global setting for your tuner, as it only functions when this tuning is active. The third parameter in this tab is the strobe pattern selection, just below the tuner response toggle control. Rolling your mouse over either of these options shows the strobe pattern that will be used when this tuning is active. Currently, only 2 patterns are available, but these options may grow as Peterson continues to improve the configurability of your product with firmware updates. Currently, the button titled Show Sweetener Logo only applies to the Stomp Classic tuner and toggles whether or not the Sweeten Tuning logo appears on the display when this tuning is selected. Another advanced feature for custom tunings is the ability to give custom names to the notes within your tuning. Select the Notes and Offsets tab once again. If you've been following this tutorial, you should have 3 notes specified: E4, F sharp 4, and A4. Let's pretend we have a simple 3-stringed instrument that only sounds these 3 pitches. But E4, F sharp 4, and A4 are only the conventional names suggested by Western music. Really, they're all just frequencies, so we could call them anything we'd like. Click on the note name to open a menu of alternative names for this note. Perhaps we'd like to call these 3 pitches 1, 2, and 3 to signify the 3 strings of our instrument. 0 through 9 and the letters H, P, and U are all possible, as these characters are possible on your tuner's note display. The last few options are designed specifically for pedal steel guitar. The note name, followed by a P or an L, signifies pedal or lever, as a pedal steel player may need to design a tuning where 2 of the same note exist, but with different offsets. You'll notice the custom note name will now be outlined in blue. This brings us to our next advanced feature. Since you've recently selected for your tuner to respond to only the notes specified, you can now create as many entries as you'd like using the same exact note. The only rule when designing tunings in this mode is that you cannot create more than 128 offsets. It makes no difference to the tuner what these notes are called or how close together they are. You're basically inventing your own system of music. You'll see here that I've created a custom tuning called 5FF. This tuning contains 5 pitches, which would conventionally all be an F4, but I've decided to call them F4, P, H, U, and 5. I've then spaced these pitches apart by 20 cents. So I've taken what most tuners would see as an F, and I've divided that same space into 5 unique notes. When this tuning is downloaded to my tuner, I can tune a string precisely to any one of these 5 pitches, which are all spaced about 20% of a semitone apart from one another. As I mentioned earlier, this may be useful to a player of an instrument who needs to play the same note with a slightly different sweetening, depending on where it is on their instrument or what role they play within an ensemble when the pitch is being played. Never before has a tuner been capable of this level of customization. Lastly, any tuning can be transposed to any key. It isn't likely that you would need to transpose a tuning. However, there are special tunings which fall into the category of a temperament. Temperaments revolve specifically around one key or tonal center. Take just major, for example. The offsets for the just major temperament that come standard with your Peterson tuner assume the key of C major. Rather than create 11 duplicates of this temperament with the offsets shifted to every other key, you can simply adjust the key setting and the transposition will be done for you. For more on temperaments and what they do specifically, consult the Peterson website. This concludes the section on advanced custom tuning design. Now that we've customized everything about the way your tuner functions using the Peterson Connect website, I thought it would be a good idea to show you how to switch your tuner back to its factory default settings. We won't be erasing your custom configuration, only telling the tuner to load its original internal settings instead. You can always use these steps to switch back to your custom configuration. Press the mode and power buttons simultaneously. You should see a C for configuration and either USR for user or FDR for factory default reset. Press in on the encoder knob and the 3-letter mode will begin to flash. You may now turn the encoder knob to select FDR to reset your tuner back to its factory configuration or USR to once again load your user configuration. Press the mode button to return to the default tuning screen. This concludes the Peterson Connect configuration tutorial. Thanks for watching. Keep in mind that help is always available via the Peterson Help Desk on our website.